Hi, welcome to TTM Overcomers Rising, How to Live Out Your Days Victoriously. Today with me I have Sarah Pennington, and she is currently Miss Central Pennsylvania. So she loves doing her pageants, and that's currently her title. So thank you, Sarah, for joining me today.
I'm excited to be here.
So I first saw you off the internet, and you're getting a lot of news about you just doing the pageants, and so I'm very excited to talk to you today and to connect with you. And so the first off, let's start with what are your first memories of Trichotillomania, and how old were you when it started?
Yeah, so I was 11 years old when I was kind of diagnosed with trichotillomania. I don't know that I remember a whole heck of a lot from when I was 11 years old. Probably the most prominent memories I do remember kind of sitting at my school desk and kind of collecting my eyebrows on my desk. And really the people who noticed it and got me the diagnosis really quickly were both my mom and my teacher. And because my mom was noticing that my eyebrows were missing and my teacher was actually noticing me doing the behavior, and so they kind of came together and were like, okay, well, this is not normal. And so, my mom looked on Google, found the diagnosis, and was like, okay, this is a disorder.
So, over the years, how did you find ways to be victorious in life with your hair or not having hair, while you've been struggling with it?
Yeah, it took a long time for me to get to the point where I am today, where I am comfortable in my own skin, okay with going out with no hair. Currently, this is probably the most hair I've had for a very long time, actually. So very excited, but, skeptical that it might not last. So it's okay if it doesn't. But for the first couple of years, I just pulled out my eyebrows and my eyelashes, and honestly, I think my parents were much more concerned than I was. It didn't really bother me. People occasionally would ask, they'd be like, where are your eyebrows? And I was sneaky and said, oh, I'm just blonde. You can't see them. And, that was my cover. I just didn't really want to talk about it. It didn't really matter to me. But then, things happened in 7th grade. I had a lot of issues with friends. There was some bullying. And then I started pulling out my head hair. And that was when I was 13. So I started getting a noticeable bald patch. And by the end of 8th grade, I had pretty much no hair on the crown of my head. And so I was doing everything I possibly could to hide my hair loss. I was using hats, I was using headbands, I was doing the side sweep ponytail, anything that I possibly could to hide that I had this giant bald patch on my head. Mm-hmm. And that's when I ended up going to the TLC, Trichotillomania Learning Center's conference. And, that really wasn't my decision. My mom was like, there's this conference, it's close to us, and we're going. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, that's happening. But it was a great decision on her part. And the biggest thing that I got from that specific conference was I learned about the Hair Club for Kids, which, for those who aren't familiar, the Hair Club for Kids gives children 18 and under with hair loss conditions free human hair wigs. Mm-hmm. Human hair wigs are $1,000 easy, which is
expensive,
very, very costly. And so for me, having a human hair wig was kind of getting my life back to some degree. And so I would wear the wig around, and then I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about this condition, because at this point still in my life, I didn't talk about it. It wasn't Sarah was okay with her trick. That was not the case at all. And then, of course, hiding it, you can only go so long hiding it until things get really bad. And that's exactly what happened. Was when I was 16, I was pulling for 3 hours, 3 hours straight, just pulling, and just lost that time. Mm-hmm. And then I had depression and I had anxiety. Mm-hmm. And, depression and anxiety are kind of opposing forces, which basically left me not functioning. Like, there were days where I just would be in bed. Like, I could not get out of bed. I couldn't go to school.
Mm-hmm.
I missed so many days of school that year, my 10th grade year of high school, and I realized I needed help.
Mm-hmm.
That was the time when I said, this is not the way I want to be living my life. I want to be able to be the girl that could do things and had an active and exciting life, not the girl who is in bed 24/7. And so, I talked to my parents. I was going to outpatient therapy, wasn't really working. And so thankfully my psychiatrist actually referred me to Rogers Memorial Hospital in Wisconsin, which I ended up going to after a lot of discussion, a lot of series of events that really affected me going there, but it was the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the place where they said, to get out of here, you have to take off your wig or your hat in public. And I was like, no. At that point, that was my big secret. Nobody knew about it. I didn't really want to talk about my condition.
Mm-hmm.
But they were adamant. I was also adamant. So we came to an agreement of 60 seconds. Everyone was working, and he said, just take off your hat for 60 seconds and you can put it back on. And I was like, I really don't want to, but if this is going to get me out of here and go home, okay, fine.
So Sarah, you didn't have a wig when you were there, right? You just had
No, so the thing about the hair club wigs is they're glued on, which is, it sounds a little weird. So I'll explain. So like if they glue it to your hair so your hair can grow underneath, but because your hair is growing, you have to get it reattached.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't know how long I was going to be in the hospital.
Yeah.
So the wig came off when I went to the hospital. It was just with hats.
Okay.
So that's why we're with hats.
So was he trying to get you comfortable with having people see you without a hat and without having a wig on?
Yeah, he wanted me okay in my own skin. He wanted me to accept my disorder.
Yeah.
And
So
I wasn't the only girl there who had it.
Your first 60 seconds go.
Yeah, so my first 60 seconds. So, I took the hat off and immediately my anxiety just like, whoo, right up to the roof. Mm-hmm. But the crazy thing is that I'm not like exaggerating here. It was like 5 seconds into it, the anxiety went down. Mm-hmm. And I was like, nothing bad just happened. Like, seriously, no one burst into flame. The building didn't explode. Like, nothing bad happened. I was like, wait a minute. Seriously, I've been waiting 5 years for this, and that's it? Mm-hmm. And from there, it just it was like, oh, okay. And it just went with it. I don't see many young women who have hair loss conditions. And my favorite quote is from Miss Delaware 2011, because she has alopecia. So different condition, but similar, physical formation. And she said, when people think when you're bald, you're either sick or old. And she said, I am neither. The cancer question, like all the time, people are like, do you have cancers? No, I don't have cancer, but it's okay that I have a hair loss condition. It's okay to feel beautiful as a bald young woman. It's just, you're a little bit different from what most people have, but that's okay. Everyone's a little bit different.
Yeah. So at 16, and to a pageant, and that's where it kind of really started to change for you. So can you tell us what happened then?
Yeah, it was 2015, man. It was a crazy year. I mean, I literally went from like rock bottom to like just my journey just escalated. So I was doing this advocacy work, and a friend who I had from years ago when I still had hair, came back. She's like, so I'm involved with this pageant system, and I think you have the perfect platform. Do you want to do it? And, I love being on stage. I was a theater kid all throughout middle school. I even did Wizard of Oz with, like, hats covering things, but I was in it because I enjoyed it. And I was like, sure. But it was 2-week turnaround. Like literally we signed up for the pageant and 2 weeks later I was walking across the stage. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I had longer hair than I have now, but it was short hair. And I was like, you don't see short hair girls in pageants, especially like even 4 years ago, it was a lot less common than it is currently. So I didn't know what to expect. You know, I thought I could be the best, but if they didn't think I'd fit the pageant types, then I wasn't going to win. But I won. And I was, you know, shocked, but excited because that really launch pad me into the pageant world and being an advocate. Even the pageant journey was kind of a progression. So, you know, the first time I competed, I had gone from wearing a hair club wig to competing. So I had a little bit of hair underneath as opposed to like completely bald. But I was reaching 18. I was getting close to the cutoff, no more hair club wigs, which at that point I didn't need. So it was fine. But that also meant that my hair was no longer being covered and I had access to it. So having Trick, I pulled it out. So then I had to, you know, one of the pageants after that, I did wear a wig. And then eventually I was like, I don't want to wear a wig. it kind of ruins what I'm really standing for. And so probably a year after my first competition, I went completely like flat, no hair whatsoever. I don't always take home the title. It's not like you're going to compete ball and you're going to win. But it's just the fact that I'm competing. It's not about the win. It's about the strength to show who I am and the strength to encourage others really to accept themselves and get on stage.
Yeah. So what's your most memorable experience of being in the pageant? Is there something that pops out at you?
Probably the thing that comes to mind, I mean, beyond the fact that I really do enjoy competing, I love getting dressed up. I love being on stage. I just love that. It's so much fun. But kind of one of the most rewarding things that has come out of being in pageants that I wouldn't have gotten if I didn't do the pageant specifically is actually just a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things we got to do was go to Hershey Children's Hospital, which is one of the Pennsylvania's 5 Children's Miracle Network hospitals, which is the Miss America organization's kind of partner, nonprofit, I think they are, group. And so we got to go there. And when I was there, a nurse came up to me and she said, I know you. I was like, do you? Because I don't know who you are. But she's like, one of my patients had met you. So funny enough, 2 days earlier on our first day at the Miss Pennsylvania competition, we had gone out to eat at a local restaurant called Isaac's, and all the contestants were in there. So like all these pretty girls in makeup with their sashes on were in this group. And I was looking at my menu and figuring out, so I was not at all prepared to be like approached. But I heard from behind me, I heard an older woman say, my daughter just wanted to meet you, or little girl. I'm not sure if she was grandma or mom. So she probably said she just wanted to meet you. So I turn and there's this little girl. She wasn't more than like 9 years old. And she's completely bald. And the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, hello, gorgeous. Because, you know, no words needed to be exchanged about why she approached me out of all those girls.
Yeah.
It's kind of new. And so when I was at the Children's Hospital in Hershey, the nurse was like, I know who you are. One of my patients met you at a restaurant, and she showed me the picture. I was like, oh, yes, I remember her. It was like, she here today? She said, yeah. So we actually, not only did I get to see that little girl once, but I saw her twice that week. I worked with her nurse to surprise her when we were at the Hershey Hospital. And those are the kinds of people that I do this for, because for that little girl, we connected on a level that she couldn't connect with the other title holders just because, you know, it's the visual thing. And not to say that none of the other title holders are great. Those girls are phenomenal. But there's something to say about when you can relate on a basic level of understanding what you go through on a daily basis with fighting to believe you're beautiful, in a world that has hair.
Yeah.
And so that was really, really special for me to know that I made an impact. And it's been great because I've been in contact with her family since then. I've been getting updates on kind of her treatment and how she's doing. And I said, if they ever need anything from me, please let me know because I want to help her.
I love it. I love it. I saw a dog
Yes.
somewhere. Her name's Daisy.
Yeah.
Is she still in the room with you?
Yes, she is. Come here. Can you come here? Yeah. Oh, hello there. Hi, Daisy. Camera
So
shot.
Daisy is your service dog. And so
Yeah.
I wanted you to share. She's so cute. Oh, so I just want you to share with the viewers how you started off with Daisy and how she's helping you in staying strong throughout your days. Oh, see, look, she's there to help you.
She is. She's helping me. So after I had kind of, I was comfortable in my skin, and that was probably the biggest thing. Well, one of the biggest things that I got from my hospital visit. But, I was still pulling. And so I had, in my mind, I had reached kind of the extent of therapists and what they could do for me. And so when I went to, I've been going to the TLC conferences ever since that first one. And I've given a lot back to them as kind of a presenter and an advocate. And so one of the conferences I went to, a lady had a dog there. And so I spoke with her about it, and I came back, I was like, Mom, we need to get me a service dog. She's like, what? No, you don't need a service dog, let me tell you. It's like, let me tell you why I think it would be beneficial. And I think the great thing about Daisy is that she can alert me to my urges. She physically sees, if I'm messing with my hair, that she does that and paws at me. And she says, Sarah, no. And, my mom can do that, but I'll snap at my mom.
Yeah.
You can't snap at Daisy. She won't understand that.
She's so cute.
And so I finally convinced my mom that not only would help with the trick, but it'd help with the anxiety. She'd help with social anxiety stuff, help with depression and panic attacks, and, the whole plethora of things that I was dealing with. And so we ended up rescuing Daisy from an organization. She's actually from Georgia. So for me, a Pennsylvanian, it's a little bit far, but that's okay. She is precious. The only things that she could do when we got her were sit, and she was potty trained. And so I worked with 2 different organizations, and they helped me train her, and I did a lot of the heavy lifting myself. They kind of said, this is how you train her, and then I actually had to do the training. But now she's a full-fledged psychiatric service dog. She goes with me everywhere. She's a big fan of hotels. She loves them. She's pro level on airplanes. She goes to college with me. She goes to class with me. She's my buddy, and honestly, she's kind of gotten me to where I feel like I am an independent adult, where without her, I don't think I would get to that point.
Yeah. So you told me too, she's been on boats with you.
Yes. We're actually going on a cruise, and I'm super, super excited. You don't know how excited I was when I found out cruises could accommodate service dogs. That was huge. So we're going on an Alaskan cruise. And
wow.
Big deal.
She's one special dog.
Yes. Oh, yes, she is. And she knows it, too.
An advocate, you briefly talked about it, for people who battle TTM. You're also being an advocate, an image to portray for people who, even if they don't have TTM, to be an image of beauty, which you are, and showing the world that it's okay for a woman not to have hair and still move on and do things, being in pageants. So what platforms other than a pageant have you been on? Have you been on TV? Have you been in articles? And how is that impacting you and others with it?
I was actually contacted by a reporter who had found my story on GoFundMe because I had created a GoFundMe page to raise money for some of my awareness events, and pretty sure it was through that article that had been posted like months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so she actually she got involved with the dean, she got involved with the disability office, she got involved with my professors. She changed around my entire final schedule to be able to fly me to New York to be on the Megyn Kelly Today show. And it was amazing because my mom and dad were in the audience. Daisy was with me, and going into it, I said, I don't really care what happens. I just want one person to, say, I have this and I didn't know it was a disorder.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the most important thing, is when you're bringing people out of the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And so, filmed my segment, and then we left the studio, and I was actually in the gift shop when my phone started blowing up, and there was a comment, and someone said, kind of the exact same thing. And I literally screamed out, yes, in the gift shop. It was really loud. But I was happy because I achieved my goal. And from there, I got multiple messages of people just thank yous, both people with Trick, people who didn't have Trick, people who knew someone who had a BFRB, like all the kinds of people that I needed to reach, it was reaching. And so from there, I've had multiple people contact me. I've been on multiple news stations. I've been in my local paper a bunch. And it's just great because I'm reaching people who need to hear the message, who need to know that this is a disorder, who need to see bald women can be successful. And I even have been recognized in public a few times, which is a little weird. It's not something I'm used to, but someone was like, I read about you online. I couldn't believe you're actually here. So that was just really cool. But, it's not about being recognized. It's about opening the eyes of people who are in the darkness like I was.
We have a few minutes left, Sarah. So could you just impart to the viewers who may be feeling helpless right now, or who feel trapped in their disorder? Also, a lot of the times we have our I can't go to the beach because I have bald spots. I can't jump in a pool with my kids or my friends because I have no hair and can't find a way out.
Yeah. So I think the best thing is to share what really got me to where I am today. And it might sound silly, but hang in there with me. I have my reasoning. So when I was actually in the hospital, there was a drawing on the wall, and don't know who made it. I probably never will find out who did it. But the drawing included a quote, and it said, "She needed a hero, so she became one." And that has kind of been my mantra since. And I think the most important thing about that is you can't wait for someone else to change your world. If you're waiting for a doctor or a family member or even a friend to kind of step up, it's not going to happen. You have to be the one to take the first step. And believe me, the first step is scary. It's really, really scary, and it's never not going to be scary. But it's not about not pulling out your hair. It's not about stopping having Trick or having full hair, or, you can have baby steps, but you have to take the first step, even if it's just an inch, because you can do it. And I believe in every single person who has Trick, because I think that you were chosen to have disorder because you're strong enough to handle it. And for me, recognizing that I could be the hero and I could be the main character in my story was so important. And I hope that as we're going through the summer months and we are getting to these situations where having Trick can be very stressful, that you find ways to be able to do what you love and not let it hold you back, whether that be if you want to go swimming, wear a swim cap, or talk to your close friends and say, hey, I have this disorder. And, if they're not okay with it, it might not be people worth keeping in your life. But there are so many people out there who are amazing and who will support you. And if you haven't found them yet, that's okay too. You be the center of your story until you can find those people. And so I hope that reminding yourself that you're a hero, even if today wasn't the best day, is the best thing that you can do.
Thank you guys for joining today, and I hope that you found encouragement, and don't let this disorder stop you. Let it be a stepping stone to get where you need to in life, and go out and enjoy your day. Thank you.